Hello, everyone. So thank you all for being out here today. We are here to remind the governor, we're here to remind the speaker that we are not going away. You all here today is a testament to that. So I want to hear you get loud, louder than that. Let's hear it. We are out here today to know when they schedule this session that they cannot delay justice any longer, because the 6 kids at Covenant died because they delayed justice for too long, and we are done with delaying justice. Can I say we are fed up? We are fed up! What are we? Fed up! What are we? Fed up! That's right, we are fed up. We are tired, but we are still showing up because they cannot stop us and they will not stop us. What do we need right now? Gun control! What do we need right now? Gun control! When do we want it? Now! I said, when do we want it? Now! That is right, my friends. We will not allow justice to be delayed any longer. We will not allow our gun control to be delayed any longer. Our kids deserve to go back to school in August, to safe schools, well-funded schools, schools that teach the truth. For too long, Republicans have led a barrage of attacks against kids while claiming that's who they want to protect, but we know that that is a lie. Protect our kids! Protect our kids! Protect our kids! Protect our kids! So my message to the speaker, our message to the speaker and to the governor, is that our kids' lives are worth defending. Our kids' education is worth defending, and we are not going away. So I want to hear you all say, fed up, get loud. 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 And to everyone out there watching, we are going to be continuing to rally out here on Legislative Plaza every month until that special session. Until justice is delivered. We will be here because we are not going to go quietly. So all you out there watching, join us. This is a movement of people across generations, across races, across ethnicities, across spaces from all over Tennessee, all across the entire nation, because we are turning this state into the battleground for the right for all of our kids to be safe. It starts here and goes national. It starts here and becomes the framework. It starts here and becomes the model, because Tennesseans are fed up. We are fed up. I am tired of hearing parents cry on the news, beg for their humanity, for their kids' humanities, for a legislature that will not listen. We are fed up! Fed up! Fed up! Fed up! Fed up! So all of you out there, join us, because it only is going to work if all of us are here. It's only going to work if all of us decide that it is worth a little bit of our discomfort in the now, for all of our comfort in the later. It is all of our discomfort right now which is going to compel action and which is going to stop the delay of justice. That is our message today. It is the guns, and we're going to protect our kids. Protect our kids, not the guns. Protect our kids, not the guns. Protect our kids, not the guns. Protect our kids, not the guns.
Awesome. We're going to pass around this clipboard really quick if you guys just want to stay informed and in the know. Elizabeth will send that around. If you want to fill it out, that's great.
If you already RSVP for this event, if you already get stuff from me, Elizabeth, Nadira, if you are already on the list, if you're already getting lots of stuff, don't feel like you need to sign up. But hey, this is your first, second, third time. Sign up so you can stay.
And we're going to go ahead and get started. And okay, great. Do you guys need to do a sound check or anything? Media? You're good? We're good? Okay, great. My name is Ingrid McIntyre. I'm a clergy person here in Nashville. I serve at Belmont United Methodist Church and Glencliff United Methodist Church. As a Christian and as a pastor and as a I believe that most of us across races and places and backgrounds all all deserve the freedom to live in communities safe from gun violence, where we can live at peace and not just survive, but thrive. Because unfortunately, we do not have that freedom today in Tennessee because our supermajority legislature, which has the power to enact policy that could keep us safe, is instead focused on dividing us by race, by gender, or class in an attempt to distract us from their failure to do their jobs and to keep our children safe. We live in a time of crisis, and the gun violence epidemic makes every one of us less safe. None of us is immune from gun violence and the possibility of our very own lives or the lives of our loved ones being ended too soon due to the prevalence of guns across this country, and especially across Tennessee, as a state that has allowed permitless carry to become the law of the land, meaning Tennesseans can legally own and carry firearms without a permit, without training, and even without a comprehensive background check. The original Mother's Day Proclamation of 1870 by poet and abolitionist Julia Ward Howe wrote, coming after the catastrophic carnage of the Civil War, calling from an end of war and gun violence and bloodshed. She said, from the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. And as this coming weekend is Mother's Day weekend, let us remember that. I recently heard Shane Claiborne say, when God asks to move a mountain, sometimes God hands us the shovel. And when people tell us that it's not a gun problem, it's a sin problem, we can say it is both. God heals our hearts, but we change the laws. Too often we wait on God to do something that God has given us the power to do. It's time to choose to protect children and not guns. And now it is my honor to introduce to you Katie Parham, a student at Vanderbilt University.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Parham. That's Kateyparham. Halito Saho Chafuyat Katie Parham Chatasiha. Hi everyone, my name is Katie Parham, and I'm a member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. I'm a senior at Vanderbilt University, and I was a citizen of Cookeville, Tennessee, until my family recently moved back to Dallas-Fort Worth. Unfortunately, I wrote this speech sitting in front of the TV, watching reports of another mass shooting occurring this time in Allen, Texas, near my home. I had to sit by as my aunt, who taught in Allen Public Schools for 15 years, waited to hear the names of the children to see if any of her former students were amongst the slaughtered. I believe that all of us, no matter our age, race, or family history, deserve to live free from the fear of gun violence. Today we are gathered on a historic day. This is the day that our downtown lunch counters were desegregated. It was the bravery of the youth to create the change, and I know my generation can continue the efforts of the Nashville student movement in advocating for a free and just society. However, my generation first has to advocate for everyone, especially our children, to even live. So my question is, what am I supposed to do when my ability to live safely is under attack? March 27th, the day of the shooting at the Covenant School, changed my perspective and likely my life trajectory. Just a few weeks ago, I was where you are today, listening to speakers and sharing in the pain, but also the desire for change in the wake of the shooting. And I'm in front of you now because I can no longer stay quiet. Simply showing up for one march was not enough for me. I showed up for all the protests after the March for Our Lives and every single legislative session from then on. And now I'm here today. Change will not come from a moment. It comes from a movement, and we are not going anywhere. I should not fear. I should not fear going to an outlet mall, going to school, eating at a Waffle House, knocking on the wrong door, or pulling into the wrong driveway. As it is today, everyday interactions are turning into life or death encounters.
Yes.
How am I supposed to stay quiet when there are solutions out there to keep me alive? This is no longer a red or blue issue. It is a life or death issue.
Yes.
And we cannot delay the session until August 21st. People and children will die unless we act now. There are data-driven solutions that will keep people alive, such as safe storage laws and extreme risk protection orders. Several polls from all sides of the aisle indicate that this is a well-liked and must-have reform now. However, despite the people supporting and wanting these changes, we have a state legislator that is more beholden to special interests than the lives of the people of Tennessee. They ignore these polls, they ignore the data-driven solutions, and instead act to line their pockets for their next campaign. The tide is turning, and America's waking up to the crisis in our communities. And the youth are watching and eager to vote out of office those legislators that choose people over politics over the people. So to return to my initial question, what am I supposed to do when my ability to live safely is under attack?
Yes.
The only thing I can do is it's to stand up and fight back.
That's right.
Join me in showing up to these movements, calling, emailing, and meeting with our elected leaders, mobilizing ahead of and for the special session, which needs to happen now, and voting for change. We have to get legislators like Justin Jones and Justin Pearson into office because they choose the people they serve over politics, money, and greed. If we want to live, and if we want the children in our lives to grow up and achieve their dreams, we have to continue to act now and demand our legislators do the same. Before I wrap up, there's an action you guys can take right now, and that is to go to Governor Bill Lee's Twitter, and there is a link to go fill out a form that lets your opinion be heard ahead of the special session. It's important that you do that. It's fast, and it's necessary if we want restricting large capacity magazines, extreme risk protection orders, safe storage, and common sense gun reform. Please go fill that up. And so thank you all for showing up today, but more importantly, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at the next moment. Now I'm handing it off to Thomas.
Hello everyone, my name is Thomas Arkansas, and that's ThomasArkansas. I'm speaking here today because as a father, a follower of Jesus, a U.S. Army veteran, and a concerned citizen, I believe it is important to raise my voice because silence during injustice is to be complicit. I believe that all Tennesseans, no matter where we live or the color of our skin, deserve to be heard by our elected leaders. Yet instead of listening to the thousands of parents, teachers, children, youth, pastors, and doctors who showed up to call for common sense gun reform that the majority of Tennesseans want, Speaker Cameron Sexton and supermajority legislature are attempting to distract us from their failure to keep our children safe by dividing us with disinformation about our fellow neighbors based on race and how much money they make or their genders. This is all part of a plan to spread dishonesty and division. James Baldwin argued, "We must tell the truth till we can no longer bear it." Baldwin understood that the worst parts of our nation were only a reflection of the lies we tell ourselves. And those lies that we tell ourselves create the chaos. As Tennesseans, Americans, and people of faith, we must be honest about who we are and grapple with the dishonesty in maintaining the lie that guns are a symbolic feature of freedom, and any attempt to regulate guns becomes an impediment on one's freedom.
Yes.
But this is a lie that enables our elected leaders to line their pockets with the NRA and lobbyist donations.
Yeah.
And what is truly is as bad and dishonest as we can imagine. When our leaders are comfortable controlling women's bodies, but not controlling guns, it is that bad. When a city becomes unlivable for most citizens because the hourly pay does not meet the cost of living, and most people are stuck in a perpetual state of poverty, it is that bad. The tradition of Tennessee freedom riders and lunch counter protesters, we will not give up in our call for justice, honesty, and freedom to live lives free from gun violence. Those of us here will absolutely not give up. We will continue to build this intergenerational and multiracial movement to guarantee our freedoms. Together, we will ensure that our communities and our children are free to live safely without the fear of gun violence and death by demanding action from Governor Lee and the supermajority legislature. In Africa, tribal leaders greet each other by asking a pivotal question: how are the children? Because they understand that the well-being of the children is at the heart of the nation. So we must ask each other and our elected leaders, how are the children? And if our children, our youth, continue to hurt, every single one of us will continue to hurt. There is hope in uncompromised truth. And we must let this be our motivation as we call our elected leaders. Meet with them. And most of all, don't give up. We will continue to ask them, as they enact policy, how are the children? Now I have the distinct pleasure to introduce Reverend Jennifer Bailey.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Reverend Jennifer Bailey, Jennifer, last name Bailey, Bailey. And I come before you today not just as a clergy person, but as somebody who's expecting a future person, not too soon. Someone who lives 5 minutes from the Covenant School, and someone who knows that the realities that we are facing today and that our children are facing today are desperate. When I think about what we are honoring here today, when I think about the legacy that we are inheriting, that over 60 years ago, it was young people who had a prophetic vision for what the world could be, who had a prophetic imagination of what the world could be. I think now about how we are inheriting a new generation of young people to follow. Young people who have, with their blood, their sweat, their tears, put forward a vision for us to follow. The book of Timothy talks about how we shouldn't look down on people because they're young, because they set a example for believers. All of those of us who claim to believe in a higher power than ourselves. To me, as I think about what's at stake in this moment, what's at stake when we think about gun violence in our communities, what's at stake when people are putting profits over people, when I think about what's at stake, I can't help but think that perhaps our failure of imagination in this moment is killing our children. Perhaps our inability to see beyond our current circumstance is killing our children. Our lack of imagination to think about what is common sense. Common sense things that many of us agree on. But we say no. We say that's not possible. That failure of imagination has the potential to lead to our destruction. And that is why I am so grateful today that we are following the steps and the footprints of a generation of young people who are bold enough to imagine, who don't take no for an answer. Because I believe if we want to move forward, if we want to center the core questions of this moment, it has to be in following our youth. And so I am so grateful that we are not prioritizing guns over kids, that we are prioritizing prophetic leadership, and that we are prioritizing what it means to have an imagination in a dark and desolate place. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sophia Swara, that is spelled S-A-F-I-Y-A-H, last name S-U-A-R-A. I'm a senior at Hume Fogg, but really I'm an incoming freshman at Rhodes College. I'm very happy to be talking to everyone today. Actually, happy isn't the correct word. I'm honored to be speaking here, because this isn't a happy occasion. Instead of being able to fully celebrate the desegregation of the lunch counters, instead of bestowing honor upon the youth activists of the 60s, such as John Lewis, Rip Patton, and Diane Nash, we are here, frustrated, upset, and honestly tired. 63 years later, young people are putting their bodies on the line. And why is that? It's because our legislators refuse to enact policy that protects members of the community from harm, even though they are sworn to protect them. Rather, they choose to protect the rights to carry around tools of mass murder. From not putting their own children in public schools because they recognize the danger, to the abysmal idea of arming teachers, to a Michigan school district banning backpacks being brought onto campus. Am I the only one who hears how crazy this is? We are treating our schools as war zones instead of places of knowledge. There is only one source of where this danger is coming from, and it isn't the books, it isn't CRT, and it's not the drag shows. It is the loose and downright appalling gun control laws that this state and country have. There is a reason why the policy that is being pushed by everyone here is called common sense gun reform. It's because if you take the time to think about it, there are no other solutions. 88% of Tennesseans want comprehensive background checks, and over 70% of Tennesseans want extreme risk protection orders. Because without those, as an 18-year-old, I can go to Walmart and buy an AK-47, bullets, and a Red Bull to wash it all down. The fact that I require less training to operate something that can shoot 600 rounds per minute than I do driving a hunk of metal at 80 miles per hour. As disappointed as I am in the state government, looking at every person in this crowd, and seeing so many people be passionate in this fight for gun reform makes me proud to be a Tennessean. Just like how the desegregation of lunch counters were led by the youth, I have seen an astounding amount of my peers and even people younger than me protest inside the Capitol and make sure that every politician looks them in their eyes so they know all of the lives they are putting in danger. I want everybody to know that each and every single one of you is crucial in this fight. If you are eligible to vote, register and vote every election that you can, whether it's national or local. If you cannot vote, write letters to your legislators, call them, show up to council meetings or town halls. They cannot. No, they actually will not ignore you, because without them, their position and title mean nothing. So do absolutely everything in your power to let these old white men in office know that they need to see how harmful these loose policies are to the community, and pass red flag laws and enact universal background checks before any more tragedies can occur. I'm also thankful to introduce District 52 Representative Justin Jones.
Thank you to Sister Sophia and Chandler, all the young people who organized this, and the clergy for being here today. Katie, thank you for organizing this. These young people are following the legacy of something historic that happened 63 years ago here in this community. 63 years ago, Nashville became the first community to desegregate its lunch counters in the South. We led in the nation. And once again, we have an opportunity to be leaders when it comes to the fight for common sense gun laws. I think that it's very important to say to the nation that Tennessee is the front lines of this battle for gun control and common sense gun laws. That we know that as a special session is going to be called at the NRA, the Tennessee Farms Association is already threatening my colleagues here in the legislature, trying to get them to turn back the tide of history that we're making here. We know that that's the same pressure that forced them to end session early when thousands of people took to our state capitol, demanding that they act, and rather than act, they chose to go to summer vacation. Rather than act, they chose to hide and think that delaying a special session will make the pressure stop. But in reality, we know that it'll give us 3 months to organize in their districts, to go to Crossville, to go to Sumner County, to go to Jeremy Faison's district in East Tennessee, to go to their district and let their constituents know that they are choosing to delay a special session when the reality is that our children should not go back to school until we have common sense gun laws. It is unacceptable to delay this special session for 3 months when our students are forced to be in these summer schools already and we still have these crazy gun laws. It's unacceptable to wait until after school starts to do what we should have done before we ended session. And so an important thing I also want to note as well is that in our state constitution, Article 1, Section, let me pull it up here, Article 1, Section 26, that the citizens of the state have a right to keep in their arms for their common defense, but the legislature shall have the power by law to regulate the wearing of arms with a view to prevent crime. It is our moral responsibility and it is our political responsibility as lawmakers to regulate this proliferation of militarized weapons in our communities. It is our obligation to have done this weeks ago, but we chose to end session. Not we, but the majority chose to end session. And just today, the governor signed a bill that is a non-solution to school shootings. The governor signed a bill to make our schools into militarized zones, to have more police in our schools, to have more Homeland Security officers, to punish schools that don't have locks on the doors. This is not the solution. And I hope that the media pushes back against the governor about using this as a victory lap in light of what happened. I hope the media pushes back on the governor and say that this is not what the people were asking for. They're asking for you to protect kids, not guns. And so we have to call on the governor to let him know, Governor Lee, that is not enough. And that the people are looking for real solutions. And the movement that's happening here in Nashville is having national repercussions. People across the nation are looking to Nashville, are looking to Tennessee as to what we do here, to set a model for the nation. I think that's so important because once again, we did it 63 years ago. We set a model of desegregation, and now once again we can set a model for creating a community at peace with itself, a community in which our children can flourish. They don't have to be afraid of active shooter drills. We don't have to have bullet holes in children's desks as we saw at Covenant. We don't have to have parents on Mother's Day not having their babies. I mean, we have to think about this as the reality that it is. And so I hope that we continue to call on Speaker Sexton. I hope we call on Republican Majority Leader William Lambert. I hope we call on Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. I hope we call on Republican Majority Leader in the Senate, Jack Johnson. I hope that we call on the Governor, Bill Lee, to get back to work. There should be no summer vacation until there's action on common sense. It's time to get back to work. It's time to do the people's business. It's time to stand with these young people and let them know that a special session delayed is a special session denied. That every day we wait, another mass shooting happens, as we saw in Texas, as we saw in Allen, Texas, just a few days ago. We've had more mass shootings than days this year. That should trouble us. And so I hope that we continue to put pressure. I hope the media tells the governor that the people are saying that the special session should happen now, and that the special session should prioritize gun laws. One thing I hope that people notice as well is when the governor released that tweet, one word is missing from that tweet when he called the special session guns. He did not mention the word guns when he said we're calling a special session. So we have to make sure that this special session that he's saying is around public safety, let's make sure that it focuses on common sense gun laws. Let's make sure it focuses on laws that will remove assault weapons, that will ban these AR-15s, that will have universal background checks, that will have red flag laws. That's what the people are asking for, not more police in schools, not more militarized schools, or not, as William Lambert said, we don't want tanks outside our children's schools. That's shameful, and we don't have to live this way. And so we stand here today as a movement that is multiracial, multi-generational, but a movement that is rooted in history, rooted in a legacy of liberation, rooted in being a people of progress. And so we stand with these students, we stand with these clergy, and we know that we're going to move forward together and not go one step back. Thank you.
And now, if any of the media has any questions, are there any questions? Anyone? Okay. Thank you all for being here, media. And now, some of us are going to walk up to Speaker Sexton's office just silently to anybody is willing to stick around and head up there with us. We just need to keep the pressure on, so didn't necessarily want that to go live on the news. But we'll start moving in that direction for those of you who can stay. And thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can you guys photos, you guys? To the speaker sections.